What's up, guys? 8 here, my boy Dakota. What you do today?
We went XO with Bystial Dragonmaid. That's pretty neat.
Do you want to do any shoutouts or get right into it?
Just get right into it.
All right, sick.
So first card, 3 chamber. This card is pretty much the MVP of the deck. It just searches any spell trap on summon. It doesn't matter if it's noble or special summon. It also bounces summon a Dragonmaid, but this card's just searches spell traps. That's all that matters about this card. That's just a random, not random, more like the regular ratio. Same with 3 copies of Parlor.
That's the Foolish Burial one?
Yeah, it fools just any Dragonmaid card. It doesn't matter if it's a monster, it could be spell trap too. This card's just insane. I've often just sent like big guys with it, but usually your play is to just send the fusion spell. After that, these are the weirder ones. 1 copy of Nurse and 1 copy of Kitchen. A lot of people don't actually play either of these. But I like Kitchen as the extra name, and Nurse does end up just letting you continue on with the grind. For Nurse specifically, I have drawn her pretty much almost every game, so I mean that's a reason why not to play her. But you don't really need to have her in deck or anything. You can just search her, so that's whatever. Big dragons. 1 of each, except the water one, because the water one sucks. This one just lets you play on turn 0. This one can bait out any interruption as it stops your opponent from activating anything on both players' turns, just by pitching it and making it so your opponent can't target. Well, not target, but just you can't activate the effects that you target. And this is just Kalut. These are the main ones. They're just really big because they're level 8s, and that kind of matters. We play the Bystials. We're playing 3 Magnamuts. 3 copies of Druid Worm and 1 copy of Sarnier. You really don't need to play a Sarnier. I just like the extra name. It's just extra DD Crow.
You not play the big one?
I do not play the big one.
So they're mainly for like hand traps?
Yeah.
/ extenders? Yeah,
these are just DD Crows. Magnum searches any dragon, which, wow, who would have thought that the Dragonmaids would all be dragons? Wow, crazy. And Druid Worm is just an interruption because you can just link it off into something like Spheres or Phoenix, and then you can just out another card. As for the rest of the monsters, we play 3 Ash. We're playing commons because I just don't feel like pulling the ultras out. And 1 of each rarity of Veiler. I really like Veiler. This card's really cool.
You play 13 hand traps then? Counting the Bystials?
Yeah, just about, yeah. Technically 16 actually, because we do play 3 Imperm.
Oh shoot.
When it comes to Veiler specifically, I really like this card because you can target what's that card called? That card's pretty cool. Kit Kalos. That's pretty much the main reason why I'm playing Veiler. Spells, 3 copy of Pot. That card's the greatest card in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! I think right now.
Is your deck 40?
I do believe it's 40. It's either 40 or 41. One of the two. It just doesn't matter when you have Pot. Like pretty much your deck's like whatever number you want, and Pot will just get you whatever you want. 3 Hospitality. It summons any Dragonmaid from hand or grave, then dumps 1 same attribute, different level. This card's insane. I don't understand how this card was just ever printed, realizing how like you just summon Chamber, then search another copy of this, or summon Nurse, which then revives another dude, and you can also just foolish a big dragon. As for exactly if you do need to max out on this card, it's debatable because you can search it with Chamber. But that's just it. This card is also really simple to Ash though, because it does sun from deck to grave, but it doesn't matter. No one cares. No one cares. 1 copy of Changeover Fusion Spell. It also bounces stuff from grave to hand and bounces dude on your field to hand. You're usually dumping this with Parlor or searching it with Chamber. You mainly just start your first play with this. As your end board is mainly just a big Dragonmaid fusion and a bunch of hand traps.
The card's kind of hot.
Yeah, the card is really crazy. I really like it in Ultra with Magnificent Mavens. But yeah, this card's pretty neat, pretty innovative. It summons any dragon fusion. I don't know why that matters. I'm assuming there's like a point where you can summon a Star Venom, but I'm not playing that card. 3 Tidying.
This card's crazy.
This card's absurd. It just bounces any card from your opponent's field or graveyard, so you can like target a tier in their grave and just bounce back to hand. They just can't like really do anything with it.
Does it have to be their graveyard?
It can be their graveyard or their field.
Yeah.
But you can't target any card in your graveyard. If it was a target card in your graveyard, just target another copy of this card and you just keep cycling it back. It also can bring back a Dragonmaid from your graveyard or from your hand in defense by banishing stuff from the grave. I don't know why it can do that too, but it's pretty much the best interruption you have.
How many good effects can we give 1 card?
Not enough. 3 Imperm, because we have golds. I did not buy the Cyberdark structure to get the supers, but This card's pretty cool. This card's pretty cool. I really like it.
16 hand traps. I could see how you could go through 5 rounds.
And then one of each rarity of strike. As for the strikes, I have sided this card out literally every match.
Even going first?
Even going first. This card, like, it just hasn't done anything. I really thought this card was going to be, like, really cool. I really wanted it to be, like, just the best card, but it's just eh.
What are you going to change it for?
Probably, like, good cards like DD Crow. Probably DD Crow in the deck that plays, like, infinite DD Crows.
You'll have 19 hand traps then.
Yeah, it'll be crazy. Crazy. Extra deck. 2 copies of Show. This card is, quite honestly, the best card in the deck. During each standby, you can summon any Dragonmaid that's level 9 or lower from your hand or graveyard, and it's also an Omni that spins itself back into the extra deck and then summons House. It's just insane. I don't understand how this card was just allowed to do it during each standby phase. Just the fact that you can go, okay, your opponent's standby, you just get to summon like something like Nurse, then you get to bring back Chamber, and then you get to get another search. It's just wild. And then like it also just has an Omni negate on top of it too. So if your opponent tries to respond to it, then you can just bounce it back, negate the effect, and then we'll get over her House. 3 copies of House. She also has an effect during the standby phase to target a Dragonmaid on your field and then summon a monster that's a higher or lower level than it from hand or grave.
That's nuts.
So, assuming your opponent does just try to respond to this like a dumb idiot, you get to summon a Dragonmaid, tag into her, then she gets to summon another Dragonmaid on top of that. She also has the ability where if your dragon gets bounced out of hand, you get to pop a monster in your opponent's field. That isn't once per turn. That's
nice.
Really neat.
So if you bounce with Tiding, you then get to pop too?
Yeah, it's cool. I just don't think it has come up as often as it should have. But at the point where I'm at, like, you're playing like infinite hand traps and your opponent just doesn't have monsters on the field because you just keep hand trapping them. You could play 2 and 2. I just like the third one because you can bring Show back and she has to summon the House from the extra deck in order to have the negate. But it's whatever. Cool card. I like this card.
Oh, 2 goes crazy.
The fact you can take 2 Bystials that have already done what they need to do and then just summon this, which turns into an E-Telly for any dragon, is absurd.
What do you typically summon? Like the one that dump the trap, then make like a Link 2, bring back?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Usually, I haven't actually thought about what I summon up, mostly because my opponent just imperms it. So it's like, it's just imperm fodder because you just make Gaia Dragon out of it. And assuming you do just let this resolve, then it's like,
oh, do you play Zeus too?
yeah, the actual XCs are Ptolemy, Charger, and Zeus. Mainly just because of the fact that your opponent if your opponent responds to Autumn and negation, you can just go Gaia, Charger, Zeus anyways.
Bro, you can also Pierce and then main phase 2 and then play until time.
Assuming this deck like actually like doesn't kill your opponent by time with big dragons. But yeah, just E-Telly's a dragon. This is also an interruption. Not an interruption, but it just clears board, spot removal.
You can also add back hand traps.
It can also add back hand traps. It can add back the Bystial cards after you detach them.
Thought about playing Wallow? The new rank 6?
No. Why would I make that card when I could just summon Awesome? Why?
I mean, I meant over Ptolemy.
No. It's just a rank 6 that goes to the Zeus. This card could be Force Focus.
I know, that's why I said I thought about playing Wallow.
It's gonna be Force Focus and it will just go Gaia Charger Zeus. That's all that matters. Actual links, 1 Pisty. This is just a Link 1. That's a dragon.
Hey, you can't say piss on YouTube.
Oh, my bad. Guard Dragon, P. 2 Spheres. We're only playing 2. The original list of Dragonmaid, I played 3 of this, but I just did not think I needed the 3rd copy. Just 2 is fine. It'll just bounce the card anyway, so it doesn't matter. It's also, again, E-Telly for any dragon. This one you are usually summoning Nurse for. That's kind of the reason why you want to keep Nurse in deck. But if
What does Nurse do again on summon?
brings back a Dragonmaid from grave.
Oh, jeez.
So if you summon this and then you just tag into Nurse off of the tribute, then you get to bring back another monster from grave and you just get another search. But that's the only reason you really keep Nurse in. Otherwise, you can just tag in the chamber and then like just do things with that. 1 Phoenix because back removal. Unicorn removal. Access code removal.
Oh wait, the trap card returns one of your cards to hand, right?
Yes,
in
it is
order to
correct.
bounce one of theirs.
Yeah.
So you could also Hieratic bounce their guy, Hieratic summon like a Druid Worm or something, bounce it with your trap, and then interrupt again.
Yeah, that's one of the things I really like about Tiding, the fact that it targets literally any dragon.
That's
So you
insane.
can target like a Bystid and bounce it back to hand and have it as another way of interruption.
Summon Magnamud as an interrupt search, and then bounce it back.
Yeah,
you get to do it
it's
again next turn.
crazy. It's neat. As for the side, questionable side deck. 3 copies of Santa Claus.
What are you doing?
I am kaijuing people with kaijus that are lights and darks. I really like Santa Claus mainly because of the fact that Santa Claus, you just give it to your opponent, and then after you out it, you can just banish it for a Bystial. As for exactly why you would be doing this, you just want to kaiju your opponent, out a big dude that you can't out, and then just out their board afterwards. Usually, I do try to find the smallest kaiju, but this is the smallest light or dark kaiju, because Radiant's 28.
And the others are 33, the light ones.
So you can't really like out them consistently. Whereas with this, you can just summon a big dragon, because the big dragons themselves are 27s and 26s,
So
which can climb over this.
Yeah.
So that's yeah. So you can just throw it over to your opponent multiple times and just like make sure you can just out them. You can out them like really easily with this deck. We do play 3 copies of Gamma Seal though.
You're a kaiju man.
Because it's also really small. It's the smallest kaiju that like if you don't care about the Bystial part, then you'll just side these and just throw it to your opponent. Then you just clear it. As for anything else, 3 DD Crow. We play 1 common because I don't have the other Ultra. However, this card has been putting in work. I've been siding it in, taking out the strikes. That is mainly because of the fact that this just hits other cards that the Bystials cannot. Like, I played against Earth Machine round 3, and my opponent just dumped a Citadel to grave, and I just went DD Crow to Citadel because I couldn't use any of my other Bystials. This card is it just hits the cards that, like, you just normally can't hit with Bystials. The last cards, 3 Twin, because you can pitch Tidying, pop back row, and then proceed to banish the Tidying to then summon a new dude and continue playing from there. And finally, 3 D-Barrier. 3 D-Barrier. I like this card, but I also don't like it. Because usually, you're calling Fusion. But because of the fact that it negates the Fusions on field, if you have a show on field, then it just gets negated.
Oh, yeah,
and you
that's
just
kind of
kinda
annoying.
cry. But because of the fact that you can bounce it with changeover and then proceed to just make it again, it's like, it's pretty cool. So you're not too mad about it, but it's kind of a neat card. Any card, just plug in your opponent.
Do you have any final thoughts or anything?
I really like this deck. Even though we're going into the Ishizu tier format, I think this is a deck I'm just going to be playing because this deck is just really fun. It ends on such a small amount that like your opponent kind of just tries to commit to outing it. But at the same time, like your deck's interruptions are mostly just hand traps. And when you end on like an Omni Negate plus like maybe a back row and then like 3 other hand traps, like
How do they play through that?
yeah, they just don't.
And it's also like beautiful that it's all unknowns. Because when someone has a huge board, you're like, okay, I can coordinate how to play through these 4 or 5 interrupts. But when you don't know what's coming, how do you do it?
Yeah, it's like usually just like a couple of Bystials and then like an Ash, a Veiler, potentially whatever interruption you have. That's kind of why I'm thinking about cutting the strikes, just because of the fact that if you just play hand traps, then like your opponent just sees you commit to a show. You still have like 3, 4 other cards in hand, and they're just like, okay, well, can't really do anything about that. When if you do have like strikes that like they could just go Cosmic or Twin it, and it's like, okay, well, I guess just lose it. But yeah.
Well, thank you for the profile.
No problem.
Boom.